Hello my darlings, I hope you're all doing very well. I hope you are sitting comfortably, you have a beverage, you have a snack, you have something cozy with you, whether it's a blanket or a pet. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about a recent piercing experience that I have had. Now, as the majority of you will know, I normally concentrate or talk about tattoos and the tattoo industry and my tattoo experiences and try and give you as much solid advice as I most possibly can. But yeah, in today's video, I'm going to be talking about a piercing. Now, way back in my youth, I was very much a piercing enthusiast. Over the years, I've definitely calmed down on that. I haven't really had the urge to get many piercings as such. I do, at the moment, have my nose pierced on each side. It looks like I have a double nostril piercing, but it's just the jewellery I'm wearing. I only have one hole per side of my nose, and then I have my lobes pierced twice, and I'm shocked about that because, well, I did get my second holes done, but I got them done a couple of years ago and I hadn't worn any jewellery in there in so long. So the other day I was like, you know what, let me see if I can put some earrings in these holes, see if they're still open, and they are. So I have two lobe piercings and that's it. And my new one, which is my Daith piercing, which is in my ear there. So I have definitely calmed down a lot since I was younger. When I was younger, I had multiple like lip piercings. I still have like the little scars from them. I had my navel pierced like 4 times at one point, like at the top, at the bottom, and at the sides. I have had other ear piercings as well. I had my tragus pierced at one point, but I believe that's closed up now. I had some like cartilage piercings here. I also had a industrial piercing at one point, and I've also had my tongue pierced a few times. Yeah, I've delved in some piercings in my life, but I have always wanted to get more ear piercings just because I think they look so freaking gorgeous. The way ear jewellery is now, I mean, it might have always been like this, I don't know. When I first started getting piercings, I don't remember jewellery looking as gorgeous as it does now, let me tell you. So every now and then I'll see this gorgeous, like, I think they call it like curated ear situation where all the jewellery sort of matches, but it's different and it all looks absolutely freaking gorgeous, and I'm so for it. The only thing with me with ear piercings and just piercings in general, for me the healing is a nightmare, because with tattoo healing it's like, I don't know, like a month or whatever and it's done. You don't have to do anything else. But with piercings, it can be a lot of hard work, a lot of trial and error, a lot of issues can come up. So, you know, me having a Daith piercing, like, which is probably one of the hardest piercings to heal, I know I'm in for a bumpy ride, but I know what to expect. I have done a lot of research on this piercing before I got it because I wanted to make sure, I wanted to commit, because I wanted to get this done properly. And with getting ear piercings done properly with the right jewellery, it's expensive. Oh boy, it is expensive. But if you're willing to commit, willing to find a bit of jewellery that you really like and that you want for a very long time, it's so freaking worth it. So yeah, I've been thinking about getting fancy, what I like to call fancy ear piercings, for a while now. So anything that isn't like a lobe piercing to me is a fancy ear piercing. So I really like the idea of getting a Daith piercing just because I love the way it sits in the ear and it fills out that, it's not your ear canal, but that little like inner bit of your ear there. I just love the way it looks when you have a hoop in there, and some of the jewellery, oh my gosh, it's so freaking beautiful. Like, I'm a huge jewellery lover. I've become more of a jewellery lover over the past couple of years. I like to collect rings and what have you. Rings are definitely my guilty pleasure there. I wanted to take it a little bit further, you know, because there's only so many fingers you can have rings on, right? And yeah, I had been putting off getting more ear piercings for a very long time. I've definitely spoke about it in a few videos, so if you've been watching me for a while, you'll know. You know, I've always been and ahhing about getting ear piercings. I finally took the plunge and was like, I'm going to do it because I want fancy ear jewellery. So I had been doing quite a bit of research on ear piercing placement. I wanted to make sure I was going to a reputable place. I wanted to make sure I was getting the right jewellery for this piercing, because there's always a lot of debate as to whether you should get pierced with a hoop or you shouldn't. I believe from my research that a Daith piercing is probably the only piercing you should get done with a hoop, just because the way the hoop kind of sits in there, and like this piercing does not move. Like it's resting in there, it's not budged. The only time I've like moved it a teeny little bit is when I'm cleaning, just to make sure I'm getting all up in there. But yeah, hoops sit beautifully in the ear and it doesn't budge. I'd imagine if you got a barbell, it would rock quite a bit and rotate quite a bit there. You know, I feel like a hoop doesn't move in this placement whatsoever. So yeah, like I was saying, when I was doing my research, I knew I wanted a good quality bit of jewellery in my ear. So I was looking at brands that are very reputable. Some that come up a lot was BVLA, which is what I've got in my ear. Industrial Strength, and there was another one. Oh god, I can't remember the other ones. But there's quite a few brands that are very reputable, and a lot of trusted ear piercers or piercers use these brands. And I wanted to go down that route. I didn't want to get any old jewellery because I want to do this properly. So when I was researching, coming across this jewellery, I was Googling stuff like piercers that use XYZ jewellery, and I come across quite a few studios that I was like, yes, I would love to go here, love to go there. There's one that come up a couple of times, which was Sacred Gold. Sacred Gold is in London. They have 3 studios now, I believe, but they come up quite a bit. On Tuesday, I don't know what day it was. Yes, Tuesday the 23rd of August. I was in London anyway. I was getting my eyebrows touched up, and on the train to London, I was looking on the Sacred Gold website to see if they had any appointments, see what the deal is with that, because I was like, well, I'm in London, and if I'm feeling up to it after having my eyebrows tattooed, I may book an appointment or walk in and see if I can get a Daith piercing just while I was there, you know, 2 birds, 1 stone kind of thing. And it looked like there was plenty of appointments, so I was like, okay, after my eyebrow appointment, if I'm still feeling, you know, okay to do this, I will book an appointment or walk in. So after I had my eyebrow appointment and all of that, I was feeling good. I was like, you know what, yeah, I've still got plenty of energy. I still think I can, you know, wander around London for a bit more and, you know, travel from where I was to one of the Sacred Gold studios. So I had another look on the website to see if there was still any appointments, because I was like, if there isn't many appointments left, that means they're quite busy, so I'll probably have to book. The one that I went for was Covent Garden, mainly because I just know how to get to Covent Garden from wherever I am. Like, I love Covent Garden. It's one of my favourite areas of London. It's so lovely. There's loads of nice little shops there, restaurants, and it's just a really nice area of London, in my opinion. So I thought that would be the best bet because I know the area and all of that. So there wasn't many appointments left on the booking website. So I was like, right, I'm going to pick a time that I know I can get there for. So I booked an appointment for 5:30, and it gives you the option to say, you know, how many piercings do you want, all of that, like what piercing do you want, you fill out a form. And when you book, you can click on like, what piercer would you like to be pierced by? As I've never been there before, I didn't know anyone. So once I booked it, come up saying your appointment is with the piercer May Reed. I hope I'm saying her name right. And I was like, okay, cool, awesome. So I made my way to Covent Garden. Now, when I went to London, it was like 26 degrees or something like that, which I know to a lot of people in a lot of different countries, 26 degrees it's not hot. Trust me, 26 degrees in London is hotter than anywhere else. All right, I don't know what it is, but it's so humid, it's so sweaty, it's so sticky. I was sweating, all right? It's kind of embarrassing, to be honest with you, but I was sweating so much. I was like, oh God, I'm about to go get a piercing, and I'm like drenched in sweat because I was kind of rushing around beforehand because my phone battery was dying, okay? I was on 20%, which obviously doesn't sound like it's dying a lot, but for me, 20% because the health of my battery in my phone isn't the best, so my battery drains pretty quickly. So before going to my ear piercing appointment, I managed to go to sort of central London area that was near Covent Garden, and I was looking everywhere, and I mean in every shop I could think of, for a freaking power bank. Okay, I was looking for a power bank. The places that I knew would do one that was close by, because I didn't want to go too far, because obviously I had an appointment. I couldn't find a power bank anywhere, and I started to freak out, and oh my gosh, because everything is on my phone. So obviously my train ticket to get home was on there and all of that, right? I needed power. So that the added stress made me even more sweaty. So I couldn't find anything. And I was like, right, I have to get myself to Covent Garden to go to my appointment. So I'm running around, I'm walking around. I did like 16,000 steps that day. 5:30 rolled around and it was my appointment time. So I walked in. I was like, hi, I've got an appointment at 5:30. Sweat, sweat, sweat. The person at the reception area was absolutely lovely. She was like, okay, yeah, that's cool. What you here for, kind of thing. And I said, oh, a Daith piercing. And then Mary Reid was there and she was like, oh, hi, you're with me. Have you ever had your ear anatomy checked to see if you can have a Daith piercing? And I said, no, I haven't. And then I actually was like, oh God, I'd never even thought about this because I forgot, like I said, piercings aren't really my thing. Like they are, but like compared to tattoos where I have a lot of knowledge on stuff, piercings not so much. And I had completely forgot that there is a chance that I would not be able to get, this Daith piercing because my anatomy might not be able to handle it. Or I wouldn't even have anything there to pierce. But she had a good old look, a very good inspection. And she's like, yeah, no, we're all good. She's like, what kind of jewellery are you after? And I said, from my research, I know that we can only really do hoop. And she was like, yeah, hoop is the best way to go about it with a Daith piercing. And she's like, have a look at the jewellery, see what you like. Oh my God. Okay, this studio is gorgeous to start off with. It looks very vintage, but it's so freaking beautiful. It's so nice inside. And they have all of these glass cases or like display cases with all of oh my God, the jewellery is so freaking gorgeous. So in the Covent Garden studio or store, whatever you would like to call it, piercing studio, they only stock the BVLA jewellery. And it's all out and it's all immaculate and everything is shining and glittering and it all looks so freaking gorgeous. And I was like, oh my God, I love every single thing here. And trust me, I'm so inspired to get more ear piercings now. Like, oh my gosh, it's about to go down. So we're walking around and then Mary Reid was showing me all the, where the hoops are and stuff. She was like, we've got this, and we've got this, and we've got this. I said to her outright, I was like, I've got a budget of around about £300 because, I'm willing to spend more on jewellery, always have been. But as this is my first pretty hardcore ear piercing, again, I'm not sure, is this going to heal correctly? Am I going to get along with it? I didn't want to spend too much money on some jewellery that I may end up taking out in the future should this not agree with me or I just have a bad time healing it, if that makes any sense. So I wanted to be smart about my decisions. And she was very, very understanding of that. Obviously, everyone has budgets, especially in this economy. We don't all have a lot of money to be spending on some jewellery. So she was very understanding of that. So I pointed out a few, then she was more than happy to check the prices of them for me. And she's like, okay, well, this one was like my favourite one. I have expensive taste. My favourite one was £620. And I was like, I think we'll pass on that one. And then another one that I really, really liked was £420. And I was like, it was tempting because it was, like I was saying, all the jewellery is so freaking gorgeous. And I was like, and then there was another one that looked like my second favourite one, which was the one I got. And then this one, I think was £260, which for an earring, I'm sure a lot of you are wincing right now. But again, the quality of this jewellery in my ear is amazing. So they did send me an email through, they did send me a receipt through email. Here it is. So yes, so I got the BVLA Lakshmi seam ring, which was £265. It's white gold. The piercing itself was £30, which is, I would say, average. That's like an average piercing price in the UK anyway. I also did buy some, where is it? It's here. I also did buy some piercing aftercare saline wound wash solution. This stuff is fucking amazing. It's so freaking good. I love this so much. So once I picked my jewellery, May Reid was like, okay, cool. I'm going to go and set up downstairs because the piercing rooms were downstairs. So while she was setting up downstairs, I had another little wander around, looked at the jewellery, trying to figure out what can I do in the future. So yeah, once she had set up, she called me downstairs into the piercing room. The piercing room was, I think, airconned. It was cold in there and not in a bad way. It was so lovely. I did not want to leave. And then she said, like, hop up onto the, like, the bed, the massage bed, the piercing bed, whatever you would like to call it. And she cleaned my ear very, very thoroughly. Can't say that word, thoroughly. And she talked me through the whole process. I've never had a piercing experience like this in my whole life. She talked me through absolutely everything she was doing. She's like, I'm going to give it a clean. I'm giving you another clean. I'm just going to figure out how I'm going to pierce you now. I'm just going to jab you a little bit here and there just to make sure everything's all good. And honestly, the communication, I cannot fault it, because obviously I've been through, you know, many piercings in my life, many tattoos in my life. So I don't get nervous or anxious anymore when it comes to, you know, piercings or tattoos, because I've been through it, the majority of it anyway. So I kind of know what to expect. But I know for a fact, if I had never had a piercing before, or I haven't had many, and someone like May Reed pierced me, it would be so comforting and so it would just put your mind at ease, you know, because you know what to expect, because it's, you know, you're being told what's happening and nothing's a surprise. It come to doing the piercing, and again, she talked me through the whole thing. She was like, take a big deep breath in, and then she put the needle through, and while it was going through, she said, and now breathe out. The pain of the piercing was not bad at all. Again, I have recently had my palm tattooed, which was honestly the most painful thing I've ever experienced. So now I feel like my pain tolerance is very, very high again. You know, so let's take that into account. But it just felt like a very, very tight pinch. Like you could probably replicate the pain by pinching your like Daith or that area of your ear, and it'll probably feel the exact same. And then she obviously put the jewellery through, which was just a little bit uncomfortable. It wasn't awful, and it was all done. Then she gave me a good old clean, because I was bleeding. I can be a bit of a bleeder sometimes, unfortunately. So she's like, oh, you're bleeding, so I'm just going to give it a good clean, because obviously, you know, this area, when it comes to cleaning it and stuff, it's quite hard. I'll talk about that in a moment. But she gave me a good thorough clean, and then we just had a good old conversation. She asked me, like, what do I do for a job and all of that, and we just having a talk about that, and the fact that she had somewhat recently moved to London. It was so nice to have a good old conversation with her and what have you. And you could, like, this is my favourite thing about getting tattooed or any kind of service, whether it's my hair or eyebrows. I love going to people who love their job, who are so enthusiastic, are just extremely passionate about what they do. And that was May Reed, 100%, because she's putting the jewellery in. She's like, oh my god, this looks amazing, it fits your ear so nicely, this looks awesome. And that really like pumped me up, and I was like, yes, okay, let's go, this is so fun. Once the piercing was done, because she asked whereabouts I lived and stuff, and she's like, I know you live kind of far away, but I would love for you to come back so I can check on the piercing, make sure it's healing okay for you, and then if it's not, we can sort of come up with a plan of, you know, how to make this work for you and all of that. I've never had a piercer ask me to go back so they can check and see how a piercing's doing. Never, not once in my whole entire life. I was like, okay, that's fine, I can do that for you. And I was like, yeah, that would be awesome. I'm always game to go to London, you know, I like going to London. And if that means I can go back to that studio and look at the jewellery again, I'm down. So I was like, yeah, of course, I'll be more than happy to go back. Got up off of the, you know, like, tattoo bed. Oh my God, like I was saying, I was sweating, right? I had left a sweat mark, embarrassing. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. She's like, it's fine. Like, she was very lovely in easing me and making sure, you know, she was like, never apologise, it's fine, you aren't the first, you won't be the last. And I was like, I know, but I just felt bad, you know, like. So once that all the piercing was done, we walked upstairs and what have you. I paid for the whole situation. Oh, and she also, which was so sweet, she went obviously through the aftercare and all of that jazz. I forgot to say that, but she did go through all the aftercare and gave me tips and tricks on how to look after it. It's kind of a case of less is more. You have to play hard to get with a Daith piercing. You know, you got to pretend it's not there. Don't touch it unless you have to. Clean it, of course. Make sure there's no what she called debris, but I'm sure we all know what that means. You know, the gunk, the nasties. Make sure that's not there. She said to make sure that it's dry at all times. So when you clean it, make sure you dry it, and then you can use a hairdryer to dry that area, because that area of your ear can stay kind of wet and you don't want any sort of moistness to be there, because that's where bacteria can breed and all of that. So she gave me all of these tips and tricks on how to look after it. I obviously brought this wound wash thing. It is amazing. She said it's extremely sterile and all of that, and you basically just spray it. Hang on a second. You just spray it. You just spray it into your ear area, and then what I do is I let it rest for a sec there, just to, you know, get all up in there. And then she asked me if I had any sterile medical gauze kind of thing, because these don't leave any residue. So if I was to use like cotton wool, there's a chance that can all get stuck in the ring and what have you, and just irritate the piercing. So she gave me some of these because I said, oh, I don't have any, and she's like, I'll get you some, don't worry. But yeah, it's a case of check that there's nothing around it, clean it once, twice a day, and leave it the hell alone. You know, don't twiddle around with the jewellery, don't adjust it, just leave it to do its thing, because it takes about 6 to 9 months for this piercing to heal. It could take longer. It's obviously prone to irritation bumps. I've been, touch wood, somewhat lucky with the majority of my ear piercings in the past. I've never had an irritation bump. The only time I've ever had an irritation bump, it was on one of my nose piercings. I don't know which one it was. It also gave me like this whole like list of things, you know, to do and don't. Like, it's very, very thorough, and you can just tell that May Reed and probably the rest of the piercers at Sacred Gold and the other studios really care about you, your piercings, your jewellery and all of that. It's amazing. Like I've said, I've never had anything like this. She put like the date of when I got pierced, check-up time 3 to 6 weeks, average healing time 6+ months. And then she wrote down the jewellery that I've got in my ear there. And yeah, it's very, very thorough, and I'm all for it. And we went outside and she took some pictures of my ear and all of that. Yeah, I kind of just said like, I'll definitely be back. I definitely want more piercings and all of that. So I will be back. I'm thinking of having in the future, I definitely want a piercing up here, obviously if my anatomy will allow it, but like a helix piercing up here. I've seen some, again, amazing jewellery. I love, they've got these like long pieces that would fit lovely up in the curvature here. So I'm thinking of something like that, which will be quite expensive, but I'm winning. I obviously have my double lobes here, so I'm thinking of maybe getting a third one, and then maybe something in this region here. I'm not sure if because I did have my tragus pierced, but because I've got this Daith, I feel like I want the Daith to be the main attraction of the inner part of my ear there. And then I've got this ear, which has obviously nothing, but I have to be careful because I need at least one ear free so I can have headphones, earphones and all of that jazz to do my job, because I use like the inner ear ones. I'm obviously not even going to attempt putting one of these in here where my Daith is. No. But for this ear, I don't know. I could maybe do, no, because that might not work either. I was going to say I could maybe do like a conch situation in here, but then that's still in that inner ear bit. So no, I don't know. I'm sure you guys that love ear piercings can help me out with advice here. And I can obviously ask May Reed as well. That was another thing she was very, very, you know, helpful about. She's like, if you have any questions, concerns, don't hesitate to email me, message me on Instagram, which again was really nice to know that I have like a support system there from her. You know, it wasn't like a wham bam, thank you ma'am, I've done your piercing, now go away kind of thing. It was very much a kind and caring experience. I will definitely keep you updated on how it heals, and should I get more ear piercings, let's face it, that's going to happen. But yeah, I highly recommend going to Sacred Gold. Like I said, I went to the Covent Garden one, but there is 2 other studios, and of course I highly recommend getting pierced by May Reed. And yeah, that's it. So hopefully this all heals lovely. But yeah, if you have any questions, concerns or whatever, please comment down below. For anyone that needs piercing content, I highly recommend Roly. I'm sure you all know of Roly. All the piercing content you could ever need, and piercing advice and all of that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all stay safe and well. But until my next video, bye.